I can predict your star sign, and it's winning. Welcome, guys, to the KYS channel. Today I'll be presenting you guys with a Constellar little Tellarknight deck profile. So this is gonna be my first deck profile ever. Forgive me for any mistakes I made. I took the deck to the Open in Vienna, Linz.
The Austrian Open, yes.
The Austrian Open. I went 5-3 with the deck, which made me very happy because it was the first time I piloted it. And today I went to a locals and I won 4-0 with it, so I went undefeated, only lost a single game to Bestial Runic Horus Orcust. Yeah,
Kitchen
Sink.
Yes.
But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the actual deck profile. I'll be explaining most of these cards since Constellar is something that not a lot of people are aware of, how it works. Especially because most people only know the Tellarknight turn skip, which is something we're not using in this deck. Okay, so let's get into the main deck first. First of all, we have the 3 of Constellar Sheraton. Sheraton is your best starter that you can have. Unfortunately, it's also very it can get hand trapped quite easily. But if it doesn't get hand trapped and if your opponent does not open any hand traps or any interruptions, you will be able to go full combo with this card alone. It's your 1-card starter, so you want to max out on it. I did playtest with only having 2, but I just saw my consistency drop by a lot, and your opponent has to draw interruptions for it. You play 3 of Constellar Pollux. I cannot emphasize enough how good this card is. It single-handedly won me a lot of games, simply because Constellar Pollux, so what this card does is it gives you a second Constellar normal summon, and that's amazing, because it is not an activated effect, it's unclassified, which means when you start with it, if you normal summon it, a lot of people try to imperm me, and it doesn't matter because the moment the card hits the field and the summon is not negated specifically, you will get that second normal summon in. And by doing so, you can really go ham and make a rank 4 without any additional effects. So you don't play into SP, you don't play into something like Kali Yuga was not able to prevent me from breaking their board today.
Shout out to the Blackwing player.
Shout outs to Salmon Mania and all of the players at Salmon Mania. You guys are amazing. So next we have the 3 of Constellar Caduceus. This is one of the best extenders the deck has. Its effect is when you have any Constellar on board, you can use it to special summon itself from the hand. As an activated effect, it can also search you a Constellar spell, which we'll get to later. So you have 3 targets to search with him, and it's overall this is what you search with Sheraton when you go for the 1-card combo. As the final pure Constellar we're playing Somber. So Somber single-handedly allows you to play through Nibiru with the deck. Now, funny enough, I did not get hit by Nibiru a single time. Nobody plays Nibiru in this format, apparently.
Yeah, that's also a thing that I noticed during the Open and during this format.
The whole format is very Nibiru light, so I would maybe even consider cutting this and replacing it with a further extender, maybe some kind of level 4 extender, maybe Algeri. But it's still a really good card to have in hand because it allows you to play for interruptions. So what it does is it banishes a Constellar from grave and adds you another one from the grave to your hand, and then you can normal summon an additional turn with Somber. So with Somber and Pollux, you can get up to 3 normal summons during your turn, which I think it's amazing, really. So these are my normal Constellars. Yeah, let's move on to the Tellarknights. Now, most of these are also count as Constellar. So we play the 2 of Alteran. This is just an amazing extender. When it's in the grave, it can special summon itself when another Constellar or Tellarknight was special. And then you can also pop cards up to the amount of light and dark Xyz you control. So this is an incredible board breaker because you often end up with multiple lights or darks Xyz on the field. Zeus is already a valid light or dark Xyz you can use to count towards the amount of cards you can pop on the field. And just in general, it's amazing to have it as a discard target or in the grave somehow. Spoiler, I am playing Droplet at 3, which enables which makes me able to dump Alteran into the grave and get his effect live. So that's already an amazing way to get your play started. bring the 3 of Liran. This is necessary. Just like the Caduceus, it can special summon itself, but this one special summons itself when you normal any kind of Constellar or Tellarknight, which is amazing. As I said before, we have tons of normals, so you will be summoning this Liran from your hand a lot. And this one searches a Tellarknight spell trap on summon, so it's really amazing. It can also be used to chain block stuff. So if you normal summon Sheraton, you can chain block the search with Liran. Be careful that you don't play into Droll though. Droll was not a big issue for me. I did get hit by it a few times during the open, but the deck can still extend and play under Droll somewhat. I wish I had an SP. I did not have an SP, the budget for an SP for these tournaments. But if I had an SP, it would be able to play under Droll even better, simply because you have a better endboard to land on if you get Drolled after Sheraton. Sheraton by itself cannot enable rank 4 plays because it's level 3, so you need some kind of way to make it level 4, which we'll get to in a second. As for the only pure Tellarknight we're playing that is not Constellar, it's Altair at 2. So Altair reborns any kind of Tellarknight from your grave when he's summoned, no matter what kind of summon, even flip summon, fun fact. But it locks you into only attacking with Tellarknights. It's really good. Play this at 1 or 2. I like playing it at 2 because you will be using the first one during your combo usually. You don't have to, but usually I use it during my combo, and then I summon the second one on my on the next turn as a target for Deltaros, which we'll get to in the extra deck section. It's really good. Play this at least once. If you're playing pure Tellarknights, definitely 2 or maybe even 3. But it's an amazing card to just really be able to combo with. So these are the Tellarknights. This is and Constellars. All of the rest of the monsters we're using are just level 4 extenders. You want to get to a single rank 4. When you get the single rank 4 out, you're gold. You can break boards, you can do tons of stupid stuff that really the deck, a lot of other rank 4 decks cannot. We'll get into that. So we're playing 3 times Mothman. Mothman is one of the best extenders this deck has because, as I mentioned before, there are cards you want to have in your graveyard. When we get to the extra deck section, you'll also see there's a way for this deck to recover cards from the graveyard. So even though Mothman can play into Droll, it still gains you incredible advantage. Every time it was in my hand, I could extend and break boards with it simply because it allowed you to special summon and draw and keep digging for that droplet or whatever kind of non-engine you want to see. Then we're playing 3 Sakitama, which is our 4th normal summon. This is now a Fluandree's deck.
Damn.
So you have you can get a total of 4 normal summons with this deck if you play it, if you want to. I would not recommend it, but Sakitama is an amazing extender. It's the best level 4 extender you can have in any rank 4 deck. I would definitely play this at 3, no less. These 2, I would say, are required extenders. I would not change the ratios on these at all. I used to be very much against Mothman, but lately I've realized just how good it is to discard your own cards, simply because you can recover them from the graveyard. We'll get to that in the extra deck section, but remember, discarding and getting your stuff into the graveyard is okay for this deck. So those are all the monsters we're playing, except for the 2 more extenders. We still have a Photon Thrasher at 1 and a ZS Armed Sage at 1. Both of these special summon themselves without an effect, which is what you want to see. You don't want to be playing into SP, you don't want to be playing into any kind of negates before you make your rank 5, rank 4, because the rank 4s have a lot of attack. So remember, you don't want to be using too many effects because you can outboard without running into negations and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into the spells. So we have the 1-off Constellar Twinkle. This deck single-handedly makes the variant I'm playing possible. It increases the level of a Constellar by 1 or 2. And you can banish it from the grave as a hard once per turn to put it back into your hand. And it's the first effect to modulate the level is not once per turn. So with it, you can really just go ham and you can make any monster from rank 4 to rank 6. And rank 6 is a good rank because it is a funny monster called Beatrice, which is what this variation of the deck tries to turbo out. So yeah, and then we have the 2 of Constellar Tellarknights. They are a monster reborn or special summon from hand, non-targeting, and can also can target an Xyz monster to special summon another Constellar or Tellarknights Xyz from your extra deck with a different rank. it's incredible. Like it extends, it changes ranks, so you don't need 3 level 4s to create Deltaros. This is basically your go-to card. If this gets hit with a Cosmic Cyclone, pray to God, because you will need it. This is a very, very powerful card. If you're playing against Constellar or Tellarknights, it's a really good card to get rid of. In other words, if you're playing this deck, pray that your opponent cannot out this, because you need it somehow. So these are the only Constellar and Tellarknights spells we play. We don't play Skybridge. I know Skybridge is okay in some decks, but I prefer not to use it simply because we don't play a lot of Tellarknights. Then we have the one-off Armored Xyz. This card single-handedly makes the deck competitively viable in my opinion, because it can extend your plays,
God damn it.
It extends your plays, it makes you do, and it makes your end board so much better. It's the reason I don't play Ptolemaios, or it's the reason I don't play, Ptolemaios at 1. Ptolemaios is usually a staple in Constellar and Tellarknights decks. I don't play it. That's the turn skipper, by the way. I don't play it because with this card you don't need it to you just simply don't need it, because you will be triggering your turn 2 effects differently. So this is what enables you a lot of stuff. You can use it, you always equip Deltaros to a different monster with it, and it also enables you to OTK. So this is an OTK enabler. You can use the equipped Xyz monster to attack twice when equipping a monster with Armored Xyz. It also has a really fun effect where, fun fact, you don't have to target an Xyz monster to equip with an Xyz from your grave. So that means that it came up in a few online games, not in real life yet, but you can use this to equip it to an empty Appaloosa to fill it up with 2700 attack again. So you can refill your Appaloosa with 3 additional monster negates if you want it, which I think it's insane. The card makes so many combos possible. So we have 2 extenders. We're playing Monster Reborn and Reinforcements. Monster Reborn to play under Nibiru. If you have Sombra Engrave and you did not use its effect yet, Monster Reborn can basically just give you full follow-up after Nibiru, and Nibiru doesn't really hurt you if you drew the Monster Reborn. We also have Reinforcements, which searches you pretty much the whole deck, aside from a few cards like your 1-card stars, but it searches you any kind of extender you need, any kind of, or it's just an Ash bait. So I really like this. I used to not play it because of Droll, but because it searches you half your deck, I think it's mandatory. Now for the non-engine, or non-extenders as well, we have free Droplet. I think this is mandatory because you have so much board presence. You have the continuous spell you can send, you have full Armored Xyz you can send the unequipped Deltaros that you equip with the Armored Xyz cards, and it's insane. Like it outsboards. If you main it, you going first, you can set it and just have extra negations during your opponent's turn. Going second, it breaks boards. I would not remove this at all. Back when this card was $20, I wished it would be cheaper. Now it's cheaper. Get it. Yeah. So I did never replace Droplet. Not even citing it out, just because you have so much stuff you want to see in the grave. You always want to see certain cards from your hand in the grave just so you can recycle them later, or really it just gives your board so much more and your presence when you're playing towards an opponent, just so much more resilience. Then we have for the traps, 1 full Armored Xyz. Necessary, it's quick Xyz, it makes a quick Xyz summon during your opponent's turn. Mandatory, it can also banish itself to equip an Xyz with another Xyz, which we use to go for game. You discard this as well, maybe with Droplet, and then the second effect is life. So when OTKing, you want to get this into your grave somehow, just so that you can get the attack boost. Because that way, if you get the attack boost and you get the double attack from the Armored Xyz card, you're gold. You can OTK no problem. So this is really important for our OTK. I would never side it out unless I'm going for time and I just need extenders. Then we have the funny 2 cards, Transactional Rollback and the Regular Epidemic Virus. So what you do is, in this deck, you try to turbo out Beatrice, you make a rank 6, you equip her with Deltaros, and then you just send Transactional Rollback first and foremost, because it can also copy the effect of full Armored Xyz and make another Xyz during your opponent's turn. So if your opponent manages to somehow out the Beatrice before she's able to resolve a second time, at least you can get a second Xyz summon during your opponent's turn, which is incredible because you will be getting level 4s out during your opponent's turn with this deck all the time. There's not a time where you won't have 2 level 4s and an Xyz monster to use the effect of full armored Xyz. So you can even technically make a Baguska on their turn. I don't play Baguska anymore because SP is a thing, but you can make any rank 4 during your opponent's turn, or even Zeus if they dare to attack your Xyz monsters. Which, incredible card. It might get banned.
I guess you could also play Typhon during your opponent's turn.
Yes, exactly. I do play Typhon in the extra deck, so you can absolutely make Typhon. It gives you incredible pressure just sending this as the first card you send, and if your opponent allows it, send Virus and win, because you copy the effect of Virus, you have an Appaloosa with 3 materials on your end board. Even if they try to DD Crow it, they usually will not have a response towards it, unless they somehow cross out Designator your rollback, whoever does that. But this combo single-handedly won me a lot of games. In one of my last games in the locals, I sniped 4 spells from your opponent's hand. Just having a free material Appaloosa, hand knowledge, and you snipe all their spells, and you also have further interruptions, which we'll get to in a second, is incredible. Don't forget we have a monster that special summons itself and pops as many cards as you have Light and Dark Xyz monsters. So you keep using that, you have interruptions to no end. It's incredible, really. And finally, we have for our main deck, free Imperm. If you main Droplet, I feel like these are mandatory, because you can, the classic Imperm, it gets negated, then just chain your Droplet, send Imperm, and then you have an extra negate. Or you send even more stuff. So I think if you're maining Droplet, you need to play free of Imperm. I decided actively not to play Ash, because my call was a lot of people will be maining Thrust, a lot of people will be maining or siding Talons. And I want to really play into those late or not at all. So I just said no Ash for this deck. I know this is a bold decision, but it did win me a lot of games. Simply because often then for people going first, Talons or Thrust was just stuck in their hand. They weren't able to do anything with it. So we have 2 off Tellarknight Constellar. This card is insane. So when you Xyz summon it, you can add 1 Constellar card and 1 Tellarknight card back into your hand on Xyz summon. That's the first effect. So that means that if you use Shuriken, special summon Caduceus, got Twinkle in your hand, you can bounce back Twinkle into your hand. Or if you used Droplet to send these 2 cards, you can just get both back into your hand. Because one is a Constellar and the other is a Tellarknight card. So that's the first effect. And the second effect is really funny. So you banish from your deck any kind of Constellar monster, and it copies that effect, the effect that would happen when it's normal summoned, which is really funny because you can, for example, you want a Reborn, get your Reborn in. And it also it dodges the hard ones per turn these cards have. So it applies the hard ones per turn of itself, which means you can do funny stuff and, for example, trigger a Lyran as a banish, and then later on also as a special summon to get 2 searches. So the line you'll often be doing with it is to actually banish one of your Shurikens, to add a Caduceus, then special summon the Caduceus and use it to search your Tellarknights spell, or if you started with Shuriken, then you just banish Lyran instead to search your Tellarknights spell. So it can basically do anything. This is like your Rainbow Dragon in a way. Yeah, so next up, the very important card, Constellar M7. You need to play this because you will need to rank down again with the spell to make a Deltaros. So this one does have a graveyard recovery effect for any card, or bounce for any card on the field, but most often I use it only as a target for Constellar Tellarknights to go into Deltaros. And honestly, I would not play this at 2. Some decks play it at 2, but it's just not that useful turn 3 and onward. So you get rid of it fast, you use it as target to go into Deltaros, and Deltaros is the heart of your deck. I'm considering playing this at 2, because if one gets banished, your combo lines end up dead. But if you have Deltaros, your deck is live. Every time it gets sent to the graveyard, you can special Tellarknight from your deck. And you do that 6, 7, 8 times in a turn. You do it a lot. I think every turn I use it around 5 times during my combo. So you cycle Deltaros 5 times, you do it, and you reborn it, you equip it with armor Xyz, and it's your advantage engine. So if this gets ashed, you might want to dodge the ash somehow, because this is one of the strongest targets for ash. Luckily it can get impermed, it can get belled, but DD Crow on it hurts, Bestial on it hurts a lot. And that's why I'm considering adding Ghost Bell to the side deck, but I just went balls to the wall. Don't need that. Just spray your hook. Upon doesn't draw it. So I play the Armored Engine. So one thing that's really amazing about this is you can overlay it on a Caduceus that already detached one material to, for example, search Constellar Tellarknights. You rank it up, and then you detach 2, and you search your armor spell and traps. And even if now your opponent would, when you activate the Constellar Tellarknights, you want to reborn Caduceus. Now, if your opponent somehow bells this and it leaves the field, at least you will have 1 interruption, definitely. So you will definitely have your armored Xyz, you will definitely have your full armored Xyz, so you can at least rank it up on your opponent's turn into full armored Dark Knight Lancer to suck up 1 monster, to attach 1 monster non-targeting. I think it's amazing because this means the deck, even through 3 or 2 hand traps, can still generate at least 1 point of interaction with your opponent, and a well-timed material attach can mean a win. And it's won me a lot of games against non-targeting monsters that can be targeted, towers that were otherwise, for some reason, really hard to out. Dark Knight Lancer is your OTK engine, it's your board breaker engine, it's just incredible as a card. So definitely play those 2. I would not play this deck without the Armored Engine. It's Maze of Millennia and the Armored Xyz spell card give this deck so much more presence. I play Gaga Magician. Gaga
4 times.
Gaga Magician. Yes. To reborn Deltaros to get its effect an additional time. So this reborns that. And the funny interaction that came up often is summoning Gaga Magician, summoning Deltaros, and then in your graveyard, you use the effect of Altairn to special summon itself, and you get 2 pops, because Dark and Light Xyz, right? So you already, through this method, you can already out 2 cards on your opponent's board. I've done this so many times in the last 2 days. You definitely want to somehow get Altairn on board, reborn Deltaros, Altairn, and then you can even lick them off into Appaloosa or whatever, and just continue abusing Deltaros. So Deltaros is your bitch. Make this card your bitch because, she will do wonders. Oh, mama. Oh, when I think about Deltaros. When they banish Deltaros, I get sad. This is your chain blocker, barricade board blocker. So it's really funny because you can, in your own turn, if you use Gaga Magician, so usually you will link off Deltaros and Xyz Armor Fortress into barricade board blocker. Now, here's the fun part. Now your opponent will maybe try to ash you, but you just say Deltaros effect number 1, Barricade Board Blocker effect number 2, and so Chainlink 2, and basically you discard a card and then you add a continuous spell at the end of your turn back to your hand. Now, then the chain resolves, you get the Deltaros special summon, and if you somehow can get these 2, so if you can somehow get Gaga Magician on board with an Altairn attached, which is usually what you'll be doing, you just detach, you special summon Deltaros, then you special summon Altairn. Now, in this state, you will have Constellar Tellarknights on your board and use Altairn's effect to pop it, and then you will get the Barricade Blocker effect to get it back into your hand. That means that you will definitely have guaranteed follow-up, which came up a lot. So you want to have this follow-up, and then you just, when you have this board state, really, you want to link it off into Appaloosa. And Appaloosa is the heart of the end board. It has 3 or 4 negates depending on your board state, and it's an amazing card. Just play Appaloosa. Now next you play one of Beatrice, so you can use it. You can modulate Altairn and the next Deltaros to make a Beatrice. You send it to. I think I already explained that line well enough. You play one of Patlamius. So this is a funny card because it's dark. It has 2,600 attack. So if you hard drew virus, you just make this and you win games. And you also equip it with Deltaros with Armored Xyz, it's really funny because this card changes all monsters on the field to dark. So technically you could even use it to tribute another monster with Virus, like format Appaloosa if you wanted to. But Lamia's amazing card. Play it. I played at 1, and it can also rank itself up into Diamond by its own effect. And Diamond is the best floodgate ever. It's just the best floodgate ever. It kills Granite, it kills Tier Elements, it kills any dark deck. It won't be very useful during the fire format because people won't be sending stuff from grave from deck to grave. But it can prevent Ponix from re-adding itself because every card that gets added back from your hand, from your graveyard to your hand, will get banished instead. But that also goes for you, so be careful to not use the Barricade Borg line, because otherwise you will be banishing your own Constellar Tellarknights, and that happened to me once during the tournament. It wasn't game deciding, but it's annoying when you accidentally banish your own cards. Finally, we have one of Yo's Heroic Tellarknight. Amazing board breaker. People often don't realize it's a quick effect, so they just chain Imperm on the summon, and then you just chain the Tellarknight to pop the entire board. And even so, it just baits so many interactions. A lot of hands can get out 2 rank 4s if without activating any other effects. So even if they Imperm this, you still had 1 material detached, and you can still rank it up into Xyz Armor Fortress. You can search for 2, and you still get your Xyz Armor line going. And it just baits so many things. You need to interact with your opponent. Will need to interact with this card. It's incredible because of the Armored Engine, and it just generates so much advantage. It can tilt a whole advantage into your favor. So finally, we have the 2 last cards. These are important. Everyone knows Zeus. It's amazing. It can win. With this deck, it's quite funny. You can hard make a 6-mat Zeus, and I will show you the line in a second. But Typhon is just okay. I'm considering cutting it. It's not the best card to play in this deck, I feel. I have not had a single game won because of Typhon yet. So I'm considering cutting this for an SP when I get one. I would definitely cut this one for an SP when I get one. And maybe side it at best. As for the side deck, we have a 2 of Evenly Matched. Just board breaker really. 1 of Called By. The deck plays so well through hand traps that I'm not even sure if this is required, but it's nice to not get rolled. Triple Tactics, I would maybe play this at 2 instead of a Called By. Simply, you will not need Called By often. Only against roll it would help, and every other hand trap really doesn't affect you too much, except for maybe D-Shifter. So, not D-Shifter, D-Shifter and DD Crow. So this is okay. I did not get shifted a lot. I feel like there's not a lot of shifter decks running around, but that might be just me. 1 of Microtops, because we don't like Skill Drain. I respect Skill Drain because of my boy Magic, who just won top 5 at the event, using Skill Drain, 3 of Skill Drain in Earth Machines, so shoutouts. This was a card I put in specifically because I expected more people to do what you did. I also played...
I guess. But why not 2 Pankratops?
I don't like the fact that it has a hard once per turn on the pop. So I would, if you draw 2, that would feel bad. And I also play 3 of Cosmic, so I didn't feel like having 5 back row hate would really help too much. But Cosmic Cyclone, just amazing in this meta. It can win you so many games. 3 of Droll, super important. There's still a lot of combo decks running around, and Droll just hits a lot of them. 3 of DD Crow, as I said, DD Crow, I don't like playing into Triple Tactics, but DD Crow and Droll are amazing cards. In this meta, they do so much. Like, so many matchups were actually decided by DD Crow or a Droll in my hand. And finally, the funniest card is a Tellarknight, Elsam. So when it's summoned, it burns for 1000, which is more than Scatter Shot. So I had a game where my opponent was playing Tier Elements, made Scatter Shot, burned me for 500, but ended up on no further interruptions. I could still get to my main phase in the last 10 seconds of the game. My friends, all of my friends saw Elsam burns for 1000.
No one knew about this card, it's so insane.
You're playing a combo heavy deck with this deck. So I feel like Elsam is necessary because you will be going into time with this deck. You will be interacting with your opponent a lot at grind games that lasted me 30 minutes on game 1. and game 2 was then often not much shorter. So if you win game 1, which happened to me often, being able to side this game 3 when you're on time, when you're on the clock, is amazing. You can bait so many other interactions before you actually get Alsam out, that you can even technically make an Appaloosa for free before you summon this card, which is something I did not do because I simply knew that my opponents would not know of the existence of Alsam. But if my opponent would know of Alsam, I would definitely get an Apple out and only then summon Alsam, just so that I have at least one way of getting it to resolve.
Is there a way where you can use it 2 or 3 times? Like do a normal summon and Caduceus send, and how much burn is it possible to make?
So with Caduceus you can possibly burn twice. You can get a 2000 burn in, but it's a long winded combo because you will need to be using the Caduceus effect to send it back to your hand after normal summoning it, and you should not use the effect to copy yet. So you'll need to somehow summon this, like normal summon or whatever. It's searchable by Roto, by the way, because it's a warrior. And if you normal summon this, if you can somehow then extend to a level 4, then you would need to detach it somehow, get into grave, use its Xyz summon effect to retrieve it, and then use its detach effect to banish it to get the second burn in. So it's possible to do it. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. Now I just want to showcase one simple combo that I did against Kali Yuga today, which saved me the whole game. Because my opponent used Kali Yuga against me, so I had, I don't know, Alterna on board or whatever, right? I tried to special summon a second monster, and Kali Yuga hit the field. I knew there was no more back row, but I was still able to get a Caduceus out by special summoning it because there was a Constellar on the field. So what you do next is really funny. You overlay them into Tellarknight, Constellar, Caduceus. Then what you do is you go into Bell phase if they have a 2/5 attack monster, or 2/4 rather. You attack with it, and that makes Zeus go live. Because Kali Yuga does not stop attacks, it does not stop summons. So in your main phase 2, what you'll be doing is you'll be ranking it up into Constellar Diamond. You'll be ranking it up into Ptolemy M7. You'll be ranking it up into Dark-Knight Lancer, and then finishing off on a 6-mat Zeus. So this, as you can see, is a Zeus with
only Xyz monster almost.
It's basically Zodiac 2.0.
It's like Zodiac, holy shit.
So you have a 6-mat Zeus in your opponent's face on turn 3. On turn 4, no, 1, 2, 3, yeah. On turn 3, your opponent will be facing a 6-mat Zeus, which a lot of boards simply can't handle, or a lot of hands can't handle. It's incredible. The deck can shit out a Zeus with 6 mats, or even more technically, so fast, and I did not expect Zeus to perform so well. I did not even know you can get 6-mat Zeus before actually doing some tinkering with the deck, simply because Constellar has so much ranking up going on. Now there's a way you can get a 5-mat Zeus by simply going into, if you need to still somehow out a monster. So let's say you have a Kali Yuga on board and a monster with 2/7 attack, which could happen. They rank it up into Ptolemy and Dark-Knight. So you will not be using the main phase 2 effect of Constellar Diamond to special it. You will only get a 5-mat Zeus on you, but still better than losing the game. So Dark-Knight Lancer, incredible card. The whole Armored Engine is incredible. It makes the deck playable. And I've been talking like for probably half an hour now, maybe.
Yeah, 35 minutes, but it's a very in-depth
yeah, so this is
deck profile.
This is the in-depth Constellar, Tellarknights, Constellar More deck profile. This deck can do a lot. I did not expect to go undefeated at locals with it, or just losing a single game rather, of the 9 that I played today. And there's definitely some room for improvement. I will not say it's perfect yet. I feel like the Beatrice line could still somehow be improved. I really like Transaction Rollback and the Virus engine in this, simply because it shuts down a lot of decks. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your input. If you have any questions, please join the Tellarknight Constellar Discord, because I'm more than glad to talk about this deck. If you have any comments, I'll be answering them, and subscribe, like the video. Yeah, and sorry for talking your ear off. I hope we'll get the chance to do it one day. And see ya. Good luck.